Thanks, Andrew. Just thought I'd like to say a couple of things before we get into questions. I'm sure you've all heard Robbo talking about us being on a journey. And that's the way I see all of this, that for me this sort of journey started 4 or 5 years ago when we were in a very dark place as a club. I'm sure you all remember that. And with Steve Lansdowne coming in at that point, our journey really started. And it has sort of various stages along the journey. We survived, which was the first step, and then we've gradually built again. And the stages have been that, say, we've gradually improved as a side, and we started putting together the basics of the backroom staff and the playing staff to enable us to seriously look at the Premiership. Another major step was coming to Ashton Gate. We had to do that. We came here, as Andrew said, it's been a great move. Overall, it's gone better than any of us could possibly have hoped, I think. We're playing on a world standard pitch out there. The pitch is the envy of every club in the Premiership, I think. When they see it, it's fantastic. That was a big step for us. We haven't seen what Ashton Gate is going to be like yet. You get an idea from the video there, but I think until people arrive at the start of next season, they won't really believe what it's going to be like. So if we put ourselves forward a couple of years, we will be in the Premiership, and Ashton Gate will have been developed in the way that it looks on there. And I think this sort of phase of season ticket renewal is just another step along the road on that journey. So I think that's just setting the scene a bit from my point of view, and I'm happy now to open up to anybody. David?
But I think we need to keep it quite fluid. The reality is we're going to have, when we're fully complete, will be 27,000 seats. So depending on what season ticket take-up is, depending on where we're trying to get to and where we are, then we can make a view, because ultimately we will lose 10%. Reality is probably not in the West End reality, but never say never.
Just talking about the Dolman, I think it's important for everybody to realise that the Dolman is one stand next year. There isn't an upper and a lower, as there has been this season. It's one, and it'll actually load from halfway up, rather than, at the moment, it loads from the sides and the front. Next season, it will actually load from within the concourse below, and so it'll just be one stand. So the Dolman stand is the Dolman stand next year. Kids tickets. Yeah, we've given, I think it's 2 or 3 years we've done that. We decided it was time to move on. What we want to do is to get all our junior supporters wearing our colours, and that's across the 2 sports. So football are doing exactly the same. So within your price of your children's season ticket, which is £50, they will get a free replica shirt. Well, they'll get a replica shirt, which is actually retailing at £39.99. So that's where we want to put our emphasis going forward, in that they're in their Bristol shirt, in their colours. I think if, just talking to Andrew, I think if there was the odd game that you wanted to bring a kid to, then we could move you around and ensure that you could do that just for an odd game. And I think opening up the wings of the Dolman to unreserved makes that a lot easier. So I think that's where we are on children going forward. Regards the centre of the Dolman and pricing between football and rugby, they're different sports. There's a different demand, and I think in most areas now, also, of course, the football season ticket holders commit to far more games, 23 compared with 14. I think the major area of difference is, as you've pointed out, the centre of the Dolman. And basically it's supply and demand. There is a demand there. Rugby supporters are used to paying those sorts of prices. If we go up this season, that would be the cheapest centre seats in the Premiership by some way.
We have to make a view. As I was saying before, we take a complete view of the marketplace, of Bristol as a marketplace, as rugby as a marketplace, the stadium, the facilities. You know, I can't, from our point of view, do we want to keep increasing prices year on year? No, we don't. We know we've got a challenge on our hands. We may have had to increase them this year, but I think our intention ultimately going forward is to try and get to a price freeze so that we know where we're at. I'm not saying that we've got everything right here, but we feel on balance we've got a package for every current rugby supporter and new rugby supporter. Clearly, and I can reiterate, you know, Steve Lansdown's view, this is the home of Bristol Rugby Football Club, as well as Bristol City Football Club. You know, the key for us is to make it home through LED, through digital. You can see on the video the lighting from the outside. We'll have pitchside LED when we're at final stage. So I think it's really, really important that we use technology to bring it to life, because absolutely when it's a Bristol rugby game, we need it to look like a Bristol rugby game. So there will be absolutely no soap dispensers with Bristol City. I can absolutely guarantee you that.
Yes, I'm nearly at that point as well. If you're already a concession, or would be a concession this season, then you continue to be a concession. Okay? For anybody else coming in new, you now need to be 65. So you might be 62 now, you've had a concession ticket for 2 years, you will continue to be eligible for a concession ticket. If you're 59 now, you would have been eligible, so you still are. But if you're coming from outside and you haven't got a ticket, then you need to be 65 to get a concession. Is that clear? It was very disappointing, yeah. It was the result of a number of games, extra games, having to be played on the pitch over a very short period of time. I think we ended up with 4 games here in 8 days, and therefore we had to, the ladies weren't able to play when they were scheduled to do. It was a great disappointment. What we will do is schedule in a game early next season when the weather's still good, probably September ideally, and then have it as it'll be after a Bristol game. So yes, we're committed totally to having them playing here. And going forward? Yeah, I'll probably just summarise that.
We were utterly disappointed. I think we were victims of trying to do it too soon, if I'm really honest. We really tried to make it happen, but unfortunately we fell at the final hurdle. But absolutely going forward, Bristol Ladies Rugby are a part of here. We want them to play here. And definitely internationals. The stadium will be used approximately 40 times out of 365. We clearly want to use it as much as possible because ultimately it drives more revenues back into the clubs. So whether that's the conferencing facilities that can seat 5,000 people for dinner if we used every single corner. Concerts you saw there for the summer, absolutely. And also internationals. It's disappointed that we're not complete because ideally we would have been a World Cup venue for rugby. So yeah, absolutely more events.